Which is a better investment vehicle for you, stock investing or real estate investing? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you some tools and some questions you can ask yourself to help you determine which one is better for you. Let's go ahead and get into it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let's go. So which one is better? Well, it really depends on you as an individual. I just sold the property for a client of mine. She purchased a single family home to rent out. Earlier this year, she rented it out for 6 months to some great tenants, and then she decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and sell this property. Real estate investing is not for me. She was focused on stock investing. She had been stock investing for a very long time. Originally, she had wanted to diversify her portfolio and buy some real estate. Now, it originally made sense to her, but after getting into it and realizing what it takes to be a landlord, she said, hey, you know what? I'd like to sell this property because I'd like to spend my time stock investing in the morning and going riding my horse in the afternoon. And I don't want to have to deal with potential of a tenant calling me about fixing a toilet or fixing the doorknob, okay? So she made the determination for her that it just didn't make any sense. Now, she still made money actually buying and selling that piece of property in that short amount of time, primarily because she bought in a great area and because that market was increasing, loss of appreciation in that area. Now, for her, it didn't make any sense. So it got me thinking, why should you invest in real estate versus investing in the stock market? And after having a conversation with her, it helped illuminate what the perspective was. And I've got a lot of people who've made a lot of money in real estate investing, and a lot of people I know made a lot of money in the stock market. So it's not necessarily one is better than the other. It's really coming down to what you want to do and what you want your life to look like. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to draw some comparisons and some contrasts between the two. And now I've been helping investors, quick background about myself, I've been helping investors for over 8 years as a real estate agent. And personally, I have been stock investing for about a decade. So I know both of the different avenues, the different vehicles of investment pretty well. So let's go ahead and get into it. More liquid versus less liquid. Simple. Stocks are easier to sell and buy. Click of a button on your brokerage account or a call to your broker, stockbroker, and you can have shares or get back into cash quite quickly. Real estate. If you own real estate and you say, hey Josh, I'd like to sell my fourplex, can you go ahead and get that on the market? It might take a few days, maybe even a week for me to prepare all the documentation, get the photos, get it up on the MLS, and then go ahead and solicit the buyers and then put together a deal, and it might take up to 60 days for it to close. So it can take a bit of a time to get that real estate sold. Same thing if you're looking to buy and you call me up and you say, hey Josh, I'm looking to buy a 10-unit apartment complex over here next to me. You know, it's going to take a little bit longer. Now it's pretty obvious, we don't have to get too much into it. One is more liquid, one is less liquid. But what does that mean? It also means less volatility with real estate. If you've got, you know, 1 million investors in the stock market and they can sell all the stocks that they own quickly, quite like that, then you're able to have some of the situation that we saw in the 1929, 1930 Great Depression, the Great Crash, where everybody started panic selling, and it really sent the stock market down quite quickly. Now, with real estate, because it takes so long to get the transaction done, 30 to 60 days, sometimes 90 days for bigger commercial projects, you're going to have less volatility. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't volatility in real estate, but that's something to keep in mind. There's always a trade-off. More liquid, easier to buy and sell, but also more volatile. Let's get into something else. This has to do with the hands-on aspect of it. And I think this is the key factor that a lot of people don't realize. With real estate investing, you really need to get in there, right? You need to get there and you need to possibly do some value add, which that might mean some painting, that might even mean doing some maintenance yourself, doing some landscaping, really getting in there and maintaining your property, making it look better as you own it, be a better steward of that property. Oftentimes there's going to be repairs that are needed, and so you have to do that. Now, with stock investing, obviously it's more hands-off. You're not actually involved in the boardroom meetings, making decisions for the company. Now, on the flip side, like we talked about, these are just trade-offs. What does that mean? Well, less control. Less control for the stock market. What do I mean by that? You're not able to call up the board of directors and tell them, hey, you know what? I think that we should feature this product, or I think we should look into featuring this service, or I think you should lay off these employees or hire these employees. Unless you own a significant amount of the stock, you're not going to have any say-so. It's just the way it is. The price is going to be determined based on the interest of other investors and the decisions that the board of directors and the management team make. With real estate, you really have a lot more control. What does that mean? You can paint, you can landscape, you can subdivide, you can do a kitchen remodel, you can change out the roof, you can make the appearance of the property look different and charge more rent either to your renter or to your commercial tenant, or you can get more out of it when you go to sell it or when you go to refinance and pull money out. So that's something that's very important. If you want more control over your asset and the ability to control its income, right? If it's generating income and then you're using it as a rental, or if you're doing more of that fix and flip, or you maybe are buying land and subdividing it, you have more direct control in increasing the value of your asset. That's something very important to keep in mind. More control when it comes to real estate, but also means more hands-on, more hassle. All right, so something else, especially during this time where people are working remotely, is stock investing is easier to do remotely. You don't have a physical asset that you're actually having to go to the job site or do that paint or look and find that property. You can do it remotely, so you can live in a different country, and as long as you wake up when the stock market opens, you can work just from your laptop. It has a lower threshold of entry as well. So with the stock market, let's say maybe you've got $1,000, you can start investing that and start buying shares of stock or even portions of stock. However, with real estate, you're probably going to need a larger down payment, $20,000 to $30,000 to $50,000. But also what you can do is you can leverage it. And so that's a really important factor and a great segue into our next point, and that is the ability to leverage your money when it comes to real estate and at a very low cost. So when you're buying in real estate, you're able to take that money, that $50,000, and you're able to buy a $500,000 asset, let's say a triplex or something, and then you're able to have full control, full ownership of that asset, and you can sell it and take the gains. However, unless you're buying on margin and specific stock scenarios, you're not going to be able to use that kind of leverage that you would be able to use in real estate. So that's an important distinction. Lastly, finding deals. That's something that's really important to understand. Now, if you are a stock investor, you're still going to be able to find great deals. However, it's going to be a little bit different than real estate investing. Real estate investing is more specific and more unique to the individual asset, right? So if you go and buy a 4-plex or 10-plex or a 20-plex, right, it's going to be determined on the city, the location, maybe what changes are coming down the road. Maybe they're repaving the road, maybe they're putting in a shopping center, maybe they're putting in a development. All of those factors are going to change your asset and its value. In the same way, you're going to have more unique opportunities to increase the value of that asset versus the stock market. You're not going to have as much of an opportunity to find a great deal because each asset is not unique and different. So that's just something to keep in mind. That is an important thing to factor. All right, so which one is better for you? Well, you just got to ask yourself, what kind of time do you want to devote to your investments? Real estate, it's going to take more time, but you're going to have more control over it. And I think that's a big factor. Also, what kind of money do you have to enter into the investment, right? Into the asset. More money, it's going to be a higher barrier to entry. With the stock market, lower barrier to entry. So it's a little bit easier to take that $1,000 and start investing. You're going to have to save up some more for real estate investing. One last final thing I'd like to make note of. Real estate investing really does do a lot of good for you when it comes to tax incentives. So with the 1031 exchange, for example, you can buy, let's say, a 4-plex, you can add value to it, maybe you can sell it for $100,000 more, and you can roll over that capital gains tax liability into a new property. Now, of course, consult with your tax accountant on that, but that's one of the best things about the real estate investing side of things, is that you're able to leverage, and then you're able to also defer those capital gains taxes. So those are just some questions you got to ask yourself. You know, what kind of workload do you want to have in your investment? What kind of workload do you have at your full-time job or with your family or your other hobbies? And then how much involvement do you want to have in it? That's really, I think, the key factor. They're totally different types of investment vehicles. One isn't necessarily better than the other. Like I said, it's all about you individually. But one question you got to ask yourself is, what would you rather be doing? Would you rather be spending time looking at financial reports? Would you rather be spending time looking at maybe newspaper or online articles about an investment or a stock and doing that kind of research? Researching the board of directors, seeing how their management style is? Or would you like to be going to a site and finding the best paint color to paint your property, or maybe new flooring, or getting involved and doing landscaping, right? Or thinking, hey, maybe I could subdivide this property out and I could build another house, or I could just sell off this other parcel. So there's a lot of different things that you're going to be doing, one versus the other, and you just got to think, which one would you rather do? Which one are you more passionate about? And that, I think, is key. You're going to be successful in whatever you do, but you got to find passion in it. I personally like real estate because it gives me more control and more aesthetic ability to change the asset and make it better. The stock market is great as well, and sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of mix of both. But I just wanted to make this video because I had talked to my client and it got me thinking about that. So what do you think? Which one is better for you? What are some of the questions that you've asked yourself? Stock market investing versus real estate investing, and how have you determined which path to go down? Be interested to get your thoughts. Make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Stay tuned for the next video. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye now.